President Trump should deport African diplomats and their families. Yes, that's right, I said it. President Trump should deport African diplomats and their families. Guys, those people are big time criminals. I'm talking big time criminals. You have no idea of the scope of the crime, and their crimes affect millions of families in Africa, in Europe, and in the USA. Guys, those people have stolen the destiny and hope of millions of families in Africa, in the US, and in Europe. You have no idea, guys. Just bear with me, I'm gonna develop my points. I'm gonna explain to y'all. Those people steal public funds in Africa and make life a living hell for African people for their own interest. Those people who steal public funds in Africa to come to the USA, to go to Europe and buy big houses, buy luxurious vehicles, send their kids to the most expensive schools in the USA, in France, in Germany, in Belgium, in London, at the expense of people in Africa. And now they're making life a living hell in Africa, and then now people have to pretty much flee, go to other countries to find greener pastures, and that's causing mass migration around the world, and it's affecting people that live in the West too, because now you have mass migration, now you have more people competing for resources in the US, in Europe, competing for the same opportunities, for the same houses, and many other things. And President Trump already told them to build their countries for their people. But what they do is what? They oppress their own people to come live this luxurious lifestyle in the West. Some of them, no, not some of them, all of them, they don't build hospitals in Africa. They don't build roads, schools. So when they get sick, they just send their daughters and sons in Europe, in America, to have access to good health care. Themselves, those African diplomats, they go to the US and Europe to have access to good health care. They don't build schools in Africa. They send their kids to schools in Europe, in America, and many other things. They steal public funds in Africa, the funds that are supposed to go for the developments and the infrastructure, for the development of the African infrastructure. They steal those funds to go buy houses overseas in the West. That's what they're doing. They send their concubines and their wives to have children, to drop babies, to give birth in the US just so they can get citizenship. This way they can start coming to the US with the stolen money from Africa. That is a crime. That's why when you see, like in the US, for example, you don't see Africans protesting, fighting for anything, despite life being a living hell in Africa, despite people dying in Africa and all these things. It's because the Africans that are in those like schools in the US, the Africans, a lot of Africans that are in the US, those are diplomats, those are oligarchs. They don't care about their own people. If anything, they participate in the crime. That's why themselves, they don't live in Africa. They live in the West. They live in the West at the expense of people back in Africa. They send their wives, their concubines to go drop babies overseas. This way they can escape Africa because they know that they are committing crimes. Most of the political leaders in Africa have dual citizenship. They have dual citizenships. The president of Congo doesn't even have the Congolese citizenship. He's Belgian. He has the citizenship of the Kingdom of Belgium, but he's president in Congo. There is this Secretary of Finance in Congo. He stole $80 million and then he ran away to France. He ran away to France. Like after people started asking for justice. What did he do? He took his passports, his European passports, boom, he went back to France. And now he's in France, he's nowhere to be seen in Africa. But he already stole $80 million. That's what they do. These people are big time criminals. They are the one that are the cause of mass migration. They are the ones that are the cause of the oppression in Africa. They kill people in Africa. People are dying. When people protest against them in Africa, they send the military, they send the police, law enforcement, and they shoot Africans. But they are here. They're sending their children to school in the US. The kids are in school in the US. They're in school in Europe, in France. They live in those big mansions in the US. They have all these luxurious vehicles. They're living a good life. Their lives are even better than the lives of the average citizen of even some rich people in America. They live like that. And they don't have a job, they don't have to work in the US. They don't have to work in France, in Canada. But their lives are, because they're stealing money from Africa. They're not building anything in Africa. They're stealing public funds. These people are big time criminals. Because why would they not want to live in Africa? Meanwhile, they are diplomats in Africa. They are African leaders. Why do they have dual citizenships? Most of them. Even during slavery, the African kings used to send their children to the US, to Portugal, when their own people were being enslaved, were being colonized in Africa. Their children were living that luxurious lifestyle in the US. They were going to those US universities. They were living well. Meanwhile, their people back home were being trafficked, were being colonized, exploited, they were being killed, raped, and many, many other horrible things. These are the same people today doing the same thing. The people that the FBA is called taters, the ones that say that they are better than African Americans, they look down on people. Yeah, those ones. The African diplomats need to be deported. They need to go to Africa and live the lives that they have created, them and their families. And they're taking advantage of the 14th Amendment of the birthright citizenship to basically scam the world. They scam Africa, they send the kids here, they send the concubines to the USA, to France, and then they steal money in Africa and they send their money to their families in Europe, in America. They buy houses, they do all these things, they go to luxurious schools, to Ivy League schools and stuff like that. And then as soon as their assignment in Africa or people starts asking, protesting against them, what do? They take their passports, pack up their bags, and they go back to Europe. They go to Europe, they go to America. They send their concubines to give birth to the US. This way, they can benefit from that chain migration, and then boom, they run away to America. They run away to Europe. After destroying life in Africa, and then in the US, they act like, oh, we're just immigrants, we're just good people. No, you're a fucking evil criminal, big time criminal, and you deserve to be in prison. I'm gonna start denouncing those people, yo. I'm gonna start snitching on these people, on these fools, these idiots, these evil people. They need to be deported, them and their families, no mercy for them, because the effects of the crimes that they have committed against people around the world is horrible. It's more than evil. They have stolen people's hopes and destiny. This is crazy. They are also destroying your lives in the US and in France, in Europe. Because why? Mass migration, mass immigration is a big problem. And Donald Trump already told them to build their countries. He told them, I'm not going to interfere. I'm not going to meddle in your country's affairs. So you don't have any excuse. Go and build your country and take care of your citizen. He told them that on multiple occasions during these 4 years of presidency, and these fools still don't want to listen. Fuck these idiots. Fuck them. I don't give a fuck. Fuck them. These people are fucking evil, yo. They need to be deported and put in prison back there in Africa. Fuck all of them. I don't give a fuck. They need to be deported, guys. Don't feel bad for these fools. They're fucking criminals. They're big time criminals, because even mass migration is affecting y'all too. Because corporations use mass migration to basically reduce wages in the US, in Europe, to replace American citizens, to replace European citizens. They're using that mass migration for that. Yeah, guys, it's crazy out here, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. These people need to be deported and go live the consequences of their mismanagement of a whole continent. They have to go over there and live that, because why would they send their whole families in Europe, when they are the ones in charge of Africa? Wouldn't you fix your own country since you are in charge of it? This way your children can live there? No. I mean, of course you would do that, but for them it's no, because they don't have the intentions of fixing anything. They're only in Africa to scam. And then after they're scamming, they run away to America, to hide, because they know that nobody's going to come and get them in America or in Europe, because Africans are not going to come all the way to Europe to get them. So they hide in Europe, they hide in America. Yeah, that's why you see like they don't protest. See like the Palestinians, for example. The Palestinians, they all came together. The students, all of them, they're protesting every week for their rights and stuff like that. You might not agree with them, but you can see the solidarity amongst them. But why don't the Africans do anything, even organize to fight for their rights? It's because most of the Africans, immigrants, the ones in Europe, in America, a lot of them have some connection with diplomatic families, with oligarchs in Africa. So they don't really care about the suffering of their own people back home. They don't give a fuck about that. And I don't give a fuck. People are going to hate me for this video. Africans are going to say all kind of things about me. I don't give a fuck, y'all. I'm sick of this shit. If you guys don't want to stand up for your rights, you guys don't want to help your people back home, then fuck you then. Go fuck yourself. Bullshit, y'all. African diplomats need to be deported. That's it. That's what it is. They need to be deported and go live the life, the living hell that they have created, the shithole that they have created back home in Africa for their own people. I said it. Deport those fools.